We're recording.
Hello and welcome to Link Live. My name is Marina, the editor-in-chief of Food Logistics and Supply and Demand Chain Executive. Here with my two beautiful, lovely editors. Want to go around the room and introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Brielle Jekyll. I'm the associate editor.
And I am Mackenna Morales, and I am the assistant editor.
And we are so excited because today, woohoo, the day is here. We are announcing our overall winner of our new Women in Supply Chain Award. And I'm so excited. Her video can come off now. Welcome, Bindia Fakil. She is the co-founder of Resiliency. Bindia, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for this great honor.
Absolutely. Congratulations. So, you were named the overall winner of Supply and Demand Chain Executive's new Women in Supply Chain Award. This is our new award. It's our 20-year anniversary. Women are killing it in this industry. How do you feel about receiving this award in a year that has just, between the pandemic and everything else, what's going through your head right now?
Interesting that you said it's your 20th anniversary. Actually, August is my 20th anniversary in supply chain.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And 2020 is actually the 10th year of Resiliency. So it's the 10th year we founded Resiliency. So it's an amazing honor to receive this recognition, and I'm extremely humbled to have this recognition. It has, as you mentioned, it has come at a very difficult time during a pandemic that has been incredibly disruptive to the global supply chain. And that's what we are all about. We are the company that delivers supply chain risk management capabilities to the world. And so I think that receiving this award during this time is a real recognition of the work that we are doing as a company, the hopefully the value that we are adding to our customers and to suppliers in making supply chains more resilient. So I really hope that this platform will give us the ability to show people there's a better way to manage risk, and we're here to help you.
I love that. And as you can see, we're a majority women run magazine with 3 editors on staff, and it's such an honor. So thank you for being a part of our Link Live today. I know we had some questions we kind of wanted to go over just to kind of get your thoughts on stuff. So Brielle, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, so first off, congratulations. You already asked her how she felt. So in April, Resiliency and Premier Inc. launched a healthcare exchange to help hospitals across supplies and ease shortages. Since then, the exchange has enabled more than 2,000 hospitals and surgical centers to trade millions of medical supplies, including masks, face shields, disinfectants, testing swabs, and other PPE equipment. How does this work? How do you, get something like this off the ground right when the pandemic was shutting down the entire country?
Yeah, so Resiliency's main solution is we have an artificial intelligence that does monitoring of global disruptions. And so we were monitoring the pandemic from December 28th when it was first alerted on the local government in Wuhan area. And since then, we have been following and tracking this event, particularly when Hubei province had the lockdown and all of that. We really started to see the tremendous need for PPE, even in China at the time. And we did a virtual online webinar where we had a speaker from the World Health Organization who kind of talked about the acute need for PPE worldwide as a result of the pandemic. So we were very early to recognize the need for the problem. And Resiliency has a substantial client base in healthcare. So a lot of the hospitals, GPOs, distributors are Resiliency customers. And so in our discussions with them between January and February, particularly if you recall, transportation was hugely disrupted. And so what we heard from speaking with Premier, with Stanford Healthcare, was that they were really looking to kind of find onshore hospitals who were not in the hotspots that they wanted to exchange PPEs with. So we were able to leverage our cloud platform, our entire ecosystem and infrastructure that we have for our supply chain risk solution, to build this type of an exchange that would connect nationwide hospitals with each other and give them the ability to find inventory and propose a trade. And because we were leveraging and building off of our secure networking type of infrastructure, we were able to literally, from design to test to launch, build it and launch it within 3 weeks.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you make me feel like I've done nothing.
Well,
I love
We
it.
were, honestly, we were fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to help during this difficult time, right? So our team members were hugely mobilized and very energetic to be able to contribute, because at the time, it felt like we were all very helpless, in this. So it was an honor to be able to participate and feel like we were contributing meaningfully.
And so Bindia and I actually talked before this live, and you mentioned during our interview that you were following the outbreak since January as well. Can you touch on that a little bit too?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, our AI picked up the alert that was sent by the Chinese, the Wuhan local government to the local hospitals to be on the lookout for a new pneumonia pattern. And that was December 28th. We started to monitor this, and then on January 4th, we actually alerted all of our customers that there was an unknown pneumonia that was detected in Wuhan. And then because Reslink does a lot of supply chain mapping, we know exactly which suppliers have sites in Wuhan, as well as the broader Hubei province, which types of parts and categories of materials come out of there. And so within hours, our customers were able to extract from the Reslink system exactly which products, parts, suppliers, sites, etc., were in the Wuhan city as well as the surrounding province as well.
That's amazing. And I know that you and Mackenna talked, for our viewers who are interested in reading that article, you can go to stcexec.com. It's on there today. So it's very exciting. Mackenna, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, that's okay. I was just going to move on to my next question, because Bindia, you are also the founder of the Global Supply Chain Resiliency Council, which is a nonprofit dedicated to advancing the discipline of supply chain risk management. Can you just describe what the council does and what made you decide to create it?
Yeah, thank you for asking about that. When I started Reslink in 2010, the world had not yet lived through the Japan earthquake, the tsunami that followed, the massive supply chain disruptions that happened as a result of those events. We hadn't had Thailand floods yet. So, in the high-tech industry, even where I come from in procurement, there was this acknowledgement that risk was something that we needed to invest in, but there wasn't a pressing, wow, this is a problem we live with every day yet, So I think those two events were definitely foundational. But the challenge was that because Reslink was a solution provider for supply chain risk management, we would always be a vested interest. What was really important is, when you're forced to market, your responsibility is to educate, and evangelize. And the best way to evangelize is to get the practitioners to talk to each other. And this needs to happen and be facilitated not only within an industry, through an organization, but through a cross industry, kind of a watering hole, which is actually one of the roles that supply and demand chain exec fulfills very effectively as well, right? So we just needed a topic around supply chain risk management, and a place where people could come and exchange ideas, best practices, learn from each other, rather than from a solution provider who was trying to create a solution for the market. And so that's why we created the Global Supply Chain Resiliency Council. It's a separately incorporated nonprofit. And the mission of the GSCRC is to promote the practice, the thought leadership, and the discipline of supply chain risk and resiliency in the world. The work is done by the participants. We volunteer our time, as well as the companies who are members of the GSCRC volunteer their time, their facilities. We do events multiple times a year. These events are generally online or hosted. For example, last year we hosted some in-person events that were actually where Amgen and Biogen actually volunteered the use of their facilities, and so all the attendees could come and meet in person at their site. So the idea with the council, we started with nothing. Today we have over 1,500 members worldwide. It's a live discussion forum for people who have questions about supply chain resilience, where to start, what to avoid. You know, a lot of times people talk a lot about what works, but sometimes you learn more from the things that that didn't go well. So the council provides a safe environment where people can talk about, don't go down that path, been there, done that, here's what you'll see. And that has been incredibly valuable. And what we do is we facilitate people who have similar problems, because we are working with hundreds of companies on a daily basis. So we know what stage they are at, which problem they're struggling with, where they need help, and who's doing a great job solving that problem. So we're able to facilitate and make those connections very effectively.
Wonderful. I know that we talked about stuff from your nomination form, and I know some things have probably changed since that was submitted. Brielle, do you kind of want to go over maybe some of the questions we had for that?
Sure. I know that one of the things that you expressed in your nomination form is the supply chain resiliency. And at a time when the nation is experiencing racial injustice and battling a pandemic, how do you plan on achieving this goal?
You know, there's always a reason not to go down the path of supply chain resilience. So my advice is start somewhere and start small. Don't wait. And here's why. If you just think about it, right? There's this thing called muscle memory. And I know this is a sad analogy, but if you think about a hospital in the emergency care area, one ambulance pulls up, no one's panicking. You know, everyone knows where to go, what to do, how to triage the patient, diagnose, steps to follow, and treat. Whether it's one that pulls up or there's a major issue and 20 pull up, you know, the nurses do not panic. The staff have muscle memory. They are able to execute in a very calm, very effective way. There's a lot of learning in that, because supply chains deal with crisis type of situation on an ongoing basis. But these crises, like these types of things that we just experienced with the pandemic, the black swan of black swan events, you know, these don't happen once in a blue moon. There's always a little crisis happening in supply chain. We're dealing with a supplier shortage, a quality problem, a line stop, price fluctuation, capacity problem, you know, it's literally on a daily basis. But in the absence of proper tools, data, a place, a process, we're winging it every time. Now, my biggest issue with that is when you play the hero, you know, every crisis needs you to play the hero when you could have a process that you follow, build that muscle memory. And even if you start small and deal with it, you know, in one issue at a time, you've basically built this capability, this infrastructure that you can activate for a major crisis when it happens. So the same capability, the same process, the same discipline comes into play for no matter whether it's a pandemic today, there's a massive flood, there's a major supplier factory fire, there's a capacity problem, there's, you know, a port strike, labor strike, profit warning, bankruptcy. I mean, I've seen all of these in my 20 years in supply chain, right? And we saw all of these happen all together with the pandemic. But the capability wasn't built for the pandemic, but the people who had invested in it, they knew where to go, what to do, how to execute, and they were a lot calmer, a lot in much better control because they had access to information already, right?
I love that. So what advice would you give the future female leaders in the supply chain industry? Like, and what would you tell your younger self as well?
You know, there are two things here. I think for a leader in supply chain, here's what I would say. And this is a lesson I've learned as CEO after starting Resiliency. It's you really as a leader need to first go inside and understand yourself, know what you're very good at, and then know what you don't know. And then get a team in place that does what you can do well. Right? Because that's all about building a successful team is don't hire people who are like yourself, hire people who are not like you, who bring a very different perspective. They have a different set of experiences that make them unique, and hire people who have passion for what you do. I found sometimes that we chase the best candidate because they have the most experience. When I found that in my career, sometimes I've hired people with less experience, but they're just passionate about what we do. And that makes them creative, find things that you may never have explored. So that's one thing. And then for the other thing you asked me was actually very interesting, which is what would I go back and tell my younger self? And you know, I think this was, I really wish someone had told me this, because when you're young, you're afraid of no's, right? Mm-hmm. But life is full of no's in between the yeses. And there are many more no's than there are yeses. And if I were to go back and someone told me, Vidya, like, it's okay to hear 50 no's, just find the one yes. I would have persisted longer. I wouldn't have given up as quickly, and I wouldn't have been as disheartened. And I'll give you an example why I'm saying that. You know, it wasn't until I started Resiliency and I had to go fundraise. And now I'm going to VCs, right? And I'm investors. When I was earlier in the life of Resiliency, I'm pitching to angel investors and these very high net worth individuals who are very successful. And a lot of times people would say, no, nobody will buy this, or supply chains have been around since humanity has been around. Why would you need this capability now? And I would have to kind of really talk myself out of, no, I'm a practitioner, I'm an expert, I know what I'm doing, I'm gonna keep pitching and keep pitching. And I will tell you that it takes 60 no's to the yes, 60. And so think about it. If I had stopped at the first 5 or the 10 or the 15 or the 30th, I wouldn't have gone to the first yes, right? So I just think that is such an important lesson that I've learned, is that it just takes one yes, but you have to find that person. It doesn't come dropped in your lap, you know, whether it's your first job, whether it's that project you want, whether it's, hey, anything in life, you're going to find no's along the way. Brush it off, you know, be resilient, pick up Humpty Dumpty, put the pieces back together, and then paste a smile on your face and go to the next pitch. Learn from the last one, analyze it. What worked, what didn't, where could I fix something, and go fix it and go do it again and again and again. And remember, if you don't do it 60 times, then at least you have to at least do it 60 times before you can give up, because I know that I've done it 60 times to a yes. So.
Wow. I think that's going to be our new model, ladies. You got to keep going. Just keep going. I don't know about you, but that was so empowering. And so I don't know. I appreciate everything you're doing. I appreciate everything your company is doing. I appreciate your passion, your, you know, ability to set a good example for the future of our supply chain, not just, you know, overall, but specifically women and our young leaders. So I appreciate everything that you're doing and your company is doing, and you're very well deserving of this award. So thank you. And thank you for being a part of today's Link Live. And for those watching, go to stcexec.com. You'll get to read the interview that Bindia had with Mackenna. And that's also in our September issue, which is also our 20-year anniversary issue. So you'll find all kinds of other wonderful stuff. We also have a 20-year anniversary tab on our website. You can find all of our podcast interviews, all of our videos, all of our wonderful stuff that Brielle's been doing with looking back over the past 20 years with all kinds of content and just kind of flushing things out. While you're on our websites, also go to foodlogistics.com. You can register for our upcoming SCN Summit and follow us all over social media. So Bindia, thank you. Thank you for everything and congratulations, because this was such a great honor.
Thank you.
And thank you to Brielle and Mackenna for being a part of this today as well. Okay. See you again next Wednesday at 11 a.m.